Early last year, our friends at AMD started telling us about this massive new processor coming up on the roadmap called Ryzen AI Max. This thing has up to 16 CPU cores, discrete level graphics in an APU, and up to 128 gigabytes of addressable memory. This thing is insanely capable. And whether or not you know what all those specs mean, this is a massive, massive processor. We actually ended up resetting our product roadmap to make space for a product that takes in Ryzen AI Max. I am actually very excited to show you this product. What we put Ryzen AI Max into is the Framework desktop. Part of what makes this a Framework product, though, is that unlike most mini computers, we stuck to open PC standards everywhere we could. The mainboard in there with that Ryzen AI Max processor, it's actually just a standard mini ITX form factor. That means you can take it and stick it in your favorite case. We stuck to standards on the headers as well. We've got standard ATX power, 2 M.2 slots, a PCIe slot, and we've got a bunch of standard I/O. We've got 5 gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 7, two USB 4 ports, and the power supply is also standard. This is really not proprietary. We've got a semi-custom Flex ATX design that we worked with FSP on. We designed this thing to stay as quiet as possible under load. And one thing to remember on this is that Ryzen AI Max, AMD originally designed this to be a laptop processor. We're using it in a desktop. We actually have a giant 120 millimeter fan in there, a standard fan. And so with that and this giant heatsink that we developed with Cooler Master, we're able to run this at 120 watts continuous while still keeping it quiet. This is obviously a lot more power than you can normally get out of a notebook. So we actually worked with Cooler Master on 2 fan options, and we also have a new version of one of Noctua's most popular 120 millimeter fans. Cooler Master and Noctua both actually contributed to the design of the thermal system in the Framework desktop, so this thing really, truly is super optimized. There is unfortunately one place where we couldn't live up to the norms of the PC space, and that is memory. Ryzen AI Max is limited to soldered LPDDR5X to get that massive memory throughput. This is actually something that we wrestled with a lot internally. It's something that we spend a lot of time with AMD on, but there just wasn't a technical solution for modularity while getting that massive 256 gigabytes per second of memory throughput. It was still important enough for us to bring Ryzen AI Max into a desktop that we took that trade-off. We took this game-changing processor and we unlocked every bit of performance in it is in a package that is really as modular as we could possibly make it. Let's go deeper into what the Framework desktop can actually do.
Rob, thanks everyone for being here, and for those of you that are tuning in to the stream, it's nice to see so many friends and familiar faces here today. I think Narav set it up really well. I mean, this processor is absolutely amazing. One of the things that makes it really amazing is that there's great processors out there for desktops, for laptops, for workstations, for gaming devices. There's really great specialized processors out there for all of these different types of workloads and different use cases. But what makes the Ryzen AI Max so special is that it's great for all of these use cases. It's one chip, basically, to serve all of your computing needs that are out there, from low power applications because of how scalable it is and its efficiency, all the way up to some of these crazy workloads that we're going to share with you here today. But what I wanted to hone in on is specifically gaming. So one of the great things about this processor is that it's using our latest technologies. So you have Zen 5 cores, you have a new optimized RDNA 3.5 graphics architecture, but all those desktop caliber, desktop grade gaming features that you find in our Adrenaline software, well, those are going to all work on the Ryzen AI processor. So if you're using our AMD Fluid Motion Frames technology, our HyperRX performance enhancing technology, our anti-lag technology, all those features that work on our Radeon big discrete graphics cards, they're going to work on this processor. Another great thing is that our upscaling technology, FSR, which is supported in over 400 games, is also going to work right out of the box with the Ryzen AI Max processor. So what does that mean in terms of performance? Let's take a look at the kind of performance that you can expect from this thing. So this is 1080p max settings, or high settings, I should say, and max settings on a bunch of different games out there that are super popular. And what you'll see is, in native, you're getting well over 50, 60 frames per second. But when you turn on FSR, the frame rate nearly doubles, and in some cases even goes higher than double in a lot of these different games out there. And again, FSR supported in over 400 games. And if there's a game out there that you're playing that isn't supporting FSR, you can turn on our HyperRX technology, and that works with thousands of games that are out there. So you really are unlimited in being able to take advantage of this frame rate improvement technology. If we move on to 1440p, the performance story doesn't change much. You're getting well over 60 frames per second, in some cases over 100 frames per second in many of the popular games that are out there. There's simply nothing else out there in the market that can generate this kind of performance on a single chip design. This rivals 60 and 70 class discrete graphics that are out there. And we're doing this all on one single CPU.
You can do even more with it though. That big GPU, that giant memory bus, that maximum of 128 gigabytes of memory. I can see that some of you in the audience are guessing where I'm going with this. So what makes this an awesome gaming machine also makes it a killer AI box. Just like everything we do, we want to make this as accessible as we possibly can. There are some other ways to run AI locally today that aren't so accessible. You can go down to an Apple store right now and pick up a Mac Studio with 128 gigabytes of memory. That'll run you about $4,800. That's maybe not so accessible. There's NVIDIA Digits. That costs, actually, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what it costs. The Framework Desktop, our 128 gigabyte Framework Desktop, we priced it at $19.99. If you want to run even bigger AI workloads, though, you can actually do that. There's rightfully a ton of interest right now around DeepSeek. These are giant models. The full DeepSeek model, it's well over 600 billion parameters. That's a lot bigger than you can fit in even a single 128 gigabyte Framework Desktop. However, we have 5 gigabit Ethernet. We've got USB 4. That means you can actually network together multiple. You can network together multiple Framework Desktops or multiple mainboards and run those full models, including the full DeepSeek model. This is really what PCs are about, that combination of open ecosystems around both hardware and software. Just like always, on the Framework Desktop, we support both Windows 11 and Linux. We believe that 2025 is truly the year of the Linux gaming desktop. The Framework Desktop is ultra customizable, just like all of our laptops are, and just like a desktop PC should be. It's got 2 expansion cards in the front for I/O. We've done some really fun stuff with personalization too. You can choose between black and translucent side panels. We've got an optional carrying handle so you can carry it over to that LAN party. And the front panel is also fully customizable. We have what we're calling the tile system, where you can choose between 7 different colors and a range of different logo designs that you can configure to your heart's desire. As always, we also open source the design of that tile system, so you can create your own, 3D print them, share them with the community, and really build anything that you'd like to. The Framework Desktop is available both as a mainboard on its own and as a DIY edition, where you can bring your fan, your storage, and your operating system. It takes less than 5 minutes to put it together. It really is the easiest PC that you'll ever build. As always, the only tool that you need is the one screwdriver that we include in the box. We're launching the Framework Desktop in 3 configurations. The base version comes in even lower, starting at $10.99. We're gonna be opening pre-orders actually right after this presentation ends, and the Framework Desktop ships early Q3.